family kept a loaded, pew-pew at home, and the boy knew exactly where it was.
Imagine looking at a 6-year-old kid and he pulls out a bullet on you, gang. Nice students that snapped and killed their teachers.
Willard Miller was a casual, calm, and boring, but fairly nice student. While attending a school in Fairfield, Iowa, he took a Spanish class with plans to pass and eventually study abroad in Spain. Nohema Graber was a 66-year-old Spanish teacher who also attended Fairfield High School. She had been teaching for years with a reputation for being firm but fair. But on November 2nd, 2021, she had just posted semester grades and one of her students was failing her class. The student was Miller, and the
Is it ever that serious? Look, bro, I'm not gonna lie. College doesn't even define your life, so what do you think high school is gonna do? None of those grades really matter, my boy. You could always go to community college. Here's the thing, bro. I feel like it really depends on what your parents stress about you. Obviously, yes, don't fail and be a dumbass. But murdering someone over an F? That's crazy.
bad grade put his academics standing at risk. With the failed class on his transcript, he would now never be able to travel abroad to Spain.
Okay, well, when you say it like that, I'd be mad too. But my boy, you could always go to Spain, all right? Maybe not for free, but you could always go to Spain.
Miller's mother showed up to Graber's class to have a meeting about his academic performance. They sat for a while, shared concerns, made a couple of jokes, and then...
Yo, Talking Hat, we gotta talk about this audio you using. I don't know, something about it.
Well, that was it. The meeting went well for all three of them, and after they left, each individual went back to their home except for Graber. While on a daily walk at Chautauqua Park, she'd bump into Miller.
You caught her at a park? Yo, am I the only one that rarely catches their teacher outside of the school grounds? Catching your teacher is like catching a double rainbow. That shit is just fucking rare. For some reason, they love disappearing from your line of sight or anywhere near that neighborhood. You catching your teacher at a park?
Though she thought the student already went home, she'd wave hi to him. He smiled in return, and then he proceeded to smash her in the face with a baseball bat as hard as he possibly could. Let's pause here for a second. You see, ever since Miller had failed his class in fall, other students reported that he began slowly making dark jokes about Graber just suddenly disappearing. These jokes slowly evolved into...
Yo, how do you just slowly incorporate that into your jokes? I'm trying to think what type of scenario even gets brought up for you to even make a joke about your teacher passing away. Oh my god, bro, yo, the storm took us away. Yo, I wish Miss whatever Habler fucking dies. How is that ever even a joke?
Intentions when Miller was caught searching things on Google in regards to if students would be given an automatic pass.
Would I get an automatic pass to my teacher?
In their class if their teacher passed away mid-term.
Yo, Talking Hat, what's up? I didn't know you was into that type of shit, my guy. You good? Yo, Talking Hat, what provoked you to even type this, my boy?
For some odd reason, a failed semester was enough to cause Miller to snap, and another student named Jeremy Goodale wanted to join him on his nefarious and ridiculously stupid mission to assassinate a teacher for his grades.
I probably asked y'all this before, but I gotta ask again. Do y'all ever casually think of ending someone's life? How is your bullying point of wanting to end someone's life getting a bad grade? Like, there's one thing if someone ended your family members, did you really terrible, whatever. You're ending someone's life over an F?
At this point, you could probably guess what happened. Goodale stayed on watch as Miller struck the Spanish teacher again and again with a baseball bat, swinging as hard as he could. Although you would assume that this shameful atrocity was over, the two students didn't stop there. Miller handed the bat over to Goodale because she was still alive. They kept hitting her over and over again, fracturing her skull and causing irreparable damage. When they finally stopped, they dragged her body off the path, covered it with a tarp they'd brought specifically for this purpose. Then they took her van and drove it to a remote rural road to make her disappearance look random. Her body was discovered the next day by other park visitors. Shortly after her passing...
Holy stretch neck. This gotta be the most interesting, like, character customization screen, bro. Y'all know when y'all play around with, like, characters' head filters and, like, you make their eyebrows, like, extremely, like, spread apart, their nostrils looking crazy? Someone put 100% of, like, your neck stretch. Cause holy shit. If I look like this, I'd be mad at the world, too. How far did y'all even go to discard the body? Discovered the next day?
Miller and Goodale were arrested within days after saying things like, "That teacher failed the wrong students, and I caught a body with a bat."
Y'all was bragging about it? No wonder why y'all got F's. Y'all dead-ass dumbasses. It's starting to all add up. No, I'm really starting to think about it. Y'all dead-ass did deserve the F. For one, you searching up how to end a teacher's life. For two, the body is in a public area. And number three, you bragging about killing her? Oh, y'all are dead-ass dumbasses, bro.
The two idiots shamelessly bragged about their deed until it landed them in handcuffs. And in April 2023, Both pleaded guilty to their crimes. Miller received life with parole eligibility after 35 years. Goodale got life with parole after 25 years. There's something about failing students from schools that for some odd reason always brings out the worst in them.
I don't know, that cat looks a little familiar. I can't put my hands on it.
The overreaction incident. Abby Zwerner was a 25-year-old first-grade teacher at Richneck Elementary School in Newport News, Virginia.
You telling me she got slimed out by an elementary schooler? Dude, I can't even take little kids seriously. So for a little kid to end my life, I'd actually be like literally like genuinely like dumbfounded.
January 6th started ordinarily like any other day, but one of her students, a boy who was 20 minus 14 years old, had been acting up all morning. He'd get up,
What grade is that? Like second grade?
repeatedly, disrupt the class, and ignore instructions. The guy was having a blast, but he was out of control, so Abby kept telling him to sit down. At one point, frustrated by being told,
Bro, I don't know how kids act up every day, bro. I was scared to act up in class just because I know if my parents found out, oh, it's over for me. So your parents are really not in your life for you to still be acting crazy.
to sit down again, the fella threw his hands up in the air and yelled, "Fine." As his arms came down, he deliberately knocked the teacher's phone off her desk, shattering the screen. She had to send him to the office, and school policy required consequences for property damage. So he was suspended and went home angry. His mother was notified, but there was something the school administrators didn't know about. The family kept a loaded, pew-pew at home, and the boy knew exactly where it was. After serving the suspension, he returned to school.
Imagine looking at a 6-year-old kid and he pulls out a blick on you, gang. Yo, the fact that the kid even has access to a gun, a loaded gun at that. The fact that a 6-year-old even knows how to use a gun. Do y'all even recall being 6 years old? I really gained conscious at around like 8 years old. How do you know how to use a gun at 6? What grade is that? Hold on. First grade. First grade, you're already ending lives. Yo, how much days of first grade do y'all even remember? Maybe like 3 distinct days. How are you already using a gun?
Security didn't thoroughly search his pockets because they seemed too small to hold anything
Yeah, and you wouldn't assume a first grader is holding a burner.
dangerous. And besides, what possible threat could someone as small as him actually pose? He walked into Zwerner's classroom while she helped another student. She looked up
Dude, can you imagine how crazy the other students looked?
and saw him standing there in the doorway. Suddenly, he pulled out the weapon, and before she could react, yeah, pew pew. I probably can't talk too deeply about this on YouTube, but she was struck directly in the chest. The other students screamed, and the perp dropped his weapon and quickly ran out of the class. Zwerner was
What were you expecting was gonna happen? You think she was just gonna like, damn, you got me. Haha, ow, that hurt.
rushed to the hospital. She survived the attack, but the
Good.
injury caused permanent damage to her spine since fragments remained permanently lodged near it. Doctors determined that it'd be too dangerous to remove without risking paralysis. The little guy couldn't be charged due to his age, but his mother, Deja Taylor, was later charged and received 3 years and 9 months for felony neglect. Zwerner resigned from teaching after the attempt on her life. She's spoken publicly about suffering from PTSD.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd resign too. You telling me I'm an elementary school teacher? I wouldn't say the most chill teaching, but the one that requires the least amount of work. And the kid is gonna put a gun up on me? I'm good.
And being unable to return to the classroom, and later on filed a $40 million lawsuit against the school district, claiming administrators had ignored warnings from staff members about the weapon. A first-grade teacher was year-old because she told him to
Wait, did she get the money though?
sit down. Madness. The bullied Noel Estevez was a young man attending school in the Bronx in New
I will not have sympathy for kids that get bullied and end someone's lives. Bro, I'm sorry. If I'm getting bullied, I'm probably gonna try to clown them back. If I can't, then F it. It is what it is. I'm not gonna think to end someone's life. You shouldn't do that. That's OD. That's way too crazy.
York. For months, he had been living in absolute hell. A group of older boys had been tormenting him relentlessly. They'd call him names and shove him into lockers between
People get shoved into lockers? This is a real thing? Did any of y'all ever actually get shoved into a locker? Who's getting shoved into lockers?
classes. They would also follow him home and stand outside his building, laughing and threatening him. Sometimes they urinated on his front door.
No, there's something mentally wrong with these bullies. There's tormenting, there's making fun of someone, peeing on their front door. How sick do you gotta be? Who in the friend group thought to themselves, yeah, let's go pee on someone's front door? You're actually disgusting.
Forcing his family to clean it up while his younger siblings watched. Noel told teachers and administrators
Yo, I swear to God, let me have children and their bullies pee on my front door. The combination of punches that I'm about to give those little kids, I don't care.
what was happening. Still, nothing changed. The bullies became more aggressive, with the main one being Timothy Timothy Crump. Yeah. He was bigger and stronger than Noel, and genuinely enjoyed watching Noel flinch.
Yo, he's bald. What is he doing?
On June 18th, 2014, Timothy and his friends surrounded Noel again. But this time, Tim started throwing punches, striking Noel in his chest and ribs as he tried defending himself. His bully was too strong, Noel was overpowered, and immediately went down. Other students gathered around.
I don't understand. Bullying just makes no sense to me. Like, why are you on someone else's meat just because they look chopped? Like, really think about it. Why do you care if someone else is fat to the point where it genuinely disrupts your mood? Like, that you have to actually beat them. You actually have to just be on their meat 24/7. It makes no sense.
Filming on their phones as they watched him get beaten to a pulp. And once again, just like the police and just like the teachers, no one stepped in to intervene. It was at this moment that something inside Noel snapped. He'd started carrying a knife for protection and intimidation after months of harassment, never planning to actually use it. But in that moment, Noel saw red. He pulled out the hidden weapon and fought back, completely catching his bully by surprise, and he attacked him. Timothy tried to get away, but there was no chance. He eventually passed away, and Noel was arrested by the police for second-degree murder. But extensive evidence of bullying emerged. Text messages, witness statements, and security footage showed previous attacks, allowing his charge to be reduced. Noel pleaded guilty and received 18 months in juvenile detention and 5 years probation. The duel.
Yo, moral of the story, don't bully people. Real shit. You bully someone, you never know what they gonna do back. If you don't bully someone, then maybe you're not gonna get stabbed. Also, don't stab people. It's not worth it.
Chen Zihan was a Chinese student in Guizhou province. And like Noel, he had also been bullied relentlessly for years by the same group of boys. The main bully was a student named Li Hao. He was bigger and more aggressive than Chen. And for reasons that were never really entirely clear, he'd beat him regularly, take his money, and humiliate him publicly. Chen tried telling his...
Yo, any of y'all ever get pantsed in public? I got pantsed in PE. I've said this before, but I didn't care because my meat was big. But if I had a small meat, I would have been severely mad, bro.
...teachers about the attacks. But nonetheless, again and again, Li Hao kept seeking him out. And on April 30th, Li Hao and several gang friends cornered Chen in an alleyway near school after classes ended.
For what?
But this time felt different from the usual beatings. Li Hao pulled out a knife and then handed it to Chen. "We're going to have a one-on-one knife fight," he shouted loudly to his friends.
I'm sorry, is Chen even wrong at this point? Y'all having a knife fight, so obviously somebody gonna win and somebody gonna lose.
Chen thought it was a bluff or just another twisted form of psychological manipulation. But he was being dead serious. Li Hao's friends immediately formed a tight circle around them both, blocking any possible escape routes. All of their faces were stern. None of them were joking. Chen had never held a knife as a weapon. He was terrified to even grab it. His hands were shaking uncontrollably. Li Hao became excited, as if this were entertainment. "Pick it up," Li Hao ordered. Surrounded by enemies, Chen listened and picked up the knife with trembling hands. Then the fight started immediately. Li Hao lunged forward aggressively. He was used to knife fights like these, and to him, Chen was fresh meat. Li Hao slashed and stabbed at Chen, scarring and injuring the young man. He kept slashing away at him until everything went black. Chen thought he faded out of consciousness, but in reality, the young man cracked. His survival instincts took over, he stopped thinking about what he was doing, and he just reacted on pure adrenaline and fear. To Li Hao's complete surprise, the nerd he once thought was an easy target began overpowering him. An enraged, adrenaline-pumped Chen had now pushed past Li Hao's swipes and unleashed a vicious attack on the bully with the...
I know I'm not the only one thinking that. What do you expect? You challenge someone to a knife fight, you stabbing a nigga, you expect him to just sit there and take it? Bro, I don't blame him at all. Get his ass.
Small knife he had. In the blink of an eye, the fight was over. Chen was picked up by emergency services for his injuries, but the same couldn't be said for Li Hao. The wounds Chen left on him were so severe that he passed away before the ambulance could even arrive. In China, self-defense rarely ends successfully in the court system.
What? So you're supposed to just get stabbed and be cool with it?
Chen was arrested and charged with intentional injury resulting in one's passing, and during his trial, his lawyers argued that he was forced to participate in the fight against his will. They said that he acted purely in self-defense after years of systematic bullying. But nonetheless, Chen was sentenced to 8 years in prison.
Why?
His case sparked intense national debate in China about school bullying, victim responsibility,
Wait, so what was the right way to handle that? Just get stabbed and potentially die out and bleed out? What now?
and whether students fighting back should be held criminally liable. I know these last 2 stories were about students fighting other students rather than teachers, but nonetheless, I still thought they were important to include. If you're being bullied, please tell someone who will actually listen and take action. If you're being ignored, keep on telling different people until someone helps you. And if you see someone being bullied, speak up. Don't just stand there filming it on your phone for social media. Help out a fellow human. Because even though it might not...
I feel like nowadays it's hard to tell like who's getting bullied just because we live in a society where sometimes bullied is kind of like seen as like, oh, friendly roasting, or like they're both bullying each other, or like they kind of teasing each other. But obviously if someone is getting shoved into a locker and getting fucking wedgied and wet willied, help them out.
Bullying can change the lives of those involved forever.
What's so sad about bullying, in my opinion, is like to the person getting bullied, this seems like the world. But in reality, bro, it's just a blip in your existence. I promise you, you're not gonna look back at middle school like, oh my God, yo, middle school, those were the best, amazing, bestest days, bro. That was life right there. When in reality, it's just not. It's not. There's just way more to life.
Be kind to the people around you. And remember, those who are truly strong stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves.
And that's why I'm here. Y'all see that? Anyways, YouTube, that does conclude nice students that snapped and killed their teachers. Yeah, moral of the story, don't kill your teachers for a grade, all right? Life goes on. And don't bully kids or else your ass might get smoked. Just be nice to one another. Make sure to like, subscribe, join us on Twitch. Likes are for life. Love y'all, and peace.